Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen and enjoy my stories every day. On a cool autumn evening, with leaves rustling underfoot like crisp whispers, I found myself pacing the confines of our small living room. My wife, Ellie, was hunched over her textbooks, her brow furrowed in concentration and anxiety. The final exams for her second degree were looming, and the pressure was mounting. "Mark, what if I don't pass?" Ellie's voice trembled slightly as she looked up from her notes, her eyes wide with worry. "You'll pass," I reassured her, squeezing her hand gently. "You know this stuff better than anyone." But deep down, I knew her fear wasn't just about failing. It was about not being able to live up to the expectations she set for herself, not to mention the financial strain this degree had put on us. Wanting to ease her burden, I came up with a plan, a micro earpiece, through which I could whisper her the answers if she got stuck. It was risky, but I couldn't bear to see her so stressed. The day of the exam arrived faster than either of us had hoped. I kissed Ellie goodbye as she left, the micro earpiece securely in place, hidden by her long hair. Settling into my makeshift command center at home, I tuned into the frequency of the earpiece, ready to support her through the ordeal. For the first half hour, everything went smoothly. I fed her a few prompts and answers, delighted to hear her confident responses. But then, suddenly, she went silent. "Ellie? Can you hear me?" I whispered anxiously. No response. The connection was still live, I could hear the faint rustle of papers, the soft tapping of a pen. She thought the earpiece had failed. Panicked, Ellie's voice finally came through, her tone desperate and hushed. I can't hear you anymore, Mark. It's not working." But before I could attempt to reassure her, another voice cut through the static, a voice that sent a chill down my spine. It was her professor, his tone low and uncomfortably intimate. "Having trouble, Ellie?" he asked. "Yes, I really need to pass this," she whispered back, desperation coloring her voice. "Maybe I can help you with that," the professor suggested, the insinuation unmistakable. "But what would you do for me, I sat frozen, the blood draining from my face as I listened to the negotiation unfold. Ellie, flustered and frantic, agreed to his proposal, to sleep with him for a passing grade. It was a punch to the gut, hearing the explicit terms they discussed, knowing she was trading her body for what I was supposed to help her earn honestly. Betrayed and furious, I recorded every damning word, the proof of her infidelity and his corruption echoing in my ears. When Ellie returned home, her face flushed with what I initially assumed was relief, I confronted her. The fallout was explosive, her justifications crumbling against the undeniable evidence I had heard. "I did it for us, for our future," she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. But it was too late. The trust was shattered. In retaliation, I made sure the recording found its way to the university ethics board. Both her academic career and her personal life imploded. The divorce was swift. I severed all ties, leaving Ellie to grapple with the wreckage of her choices. As I walked away from the lawyer's office, a bitter sense of victory settled in my chest. I had loved her, supported her, but in the end, I was just a voice in her ear she chose to ignore. From then on, Ellie became just another stranger with a familiar face, a part of my past I wished to forget. The intrigue of our shared history, now tainted, would unfold in the hearts and minds of others as a cautionary tale of betrayal and the price of unethical desires. The morning after confronting Ellie, the house feels hollow, as if the walls themselves are recoiling from the echoes of our shattered life. I wake up to an eerie silence, the usual sounds of Ellie's morning routine conspicuously absent. With a heavy heart, I make my way to the kitchen, the events of last night replaying in my mind like a relentless loop. As I brew my coffee, the quiet is shattered by the sharp ring of my phone. I hesitate, then answer. It's the university's ethics board. "Mr. Dawson, we've received your complaint and the attached evidence," a stern voice says. "We're initiating a full investigation into Professor Hargrove's conduct. We take these allegations very seriously. Thank you, I reply, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. I hope you understand the gravity of what's happened. We do, Mr. Dawson. And we'll need you to come in for a formal statement. As I agree to their request, a mixture of satisfaction and sorrow stirs within me. I'm doing the right thing, I remind myself, but the cost is immeasurable. I spend the day in a daze, my actions automatic. By the time I arrive at the university for my meeting, I feel detached, almost numb. The panel of administrators and a legal advisor greet me with somber faces. I recount the events, my words clinical, the recording playing damningly clear through the speakers. The meeting concludes with assurances of swift action, but as I step out of the room, my phone buzzes again. It's Ellie. I hesitate, then answer, my resolve hardening. Mark, please, let's talk about this, Ellie pleads, her voice breaking. There's nothing left to say, Ellie, I respond coldly. You made your choice. But I love you. It was a mistake, a horrible mistake. I cut her off. A mistake. Ellie, you didn't just stumble into this. You made a deal. You can't undo that. I hang up, the finality of the act sinking in. I'm alone now, truly alone. The drive home is a blur, the city lights streaking past like falling stars. Later that night, as I sit in the dark living room, a plan begins to form. Ellie's actions won't just fade into obscurity. I need to ensure that her betrayal and the professor's corruption are exposed, not just within the confines of the university but to the entire academic community and beyond. I start drafting emails to major academic boards and local news outlets, detailing the unethical behavior and attaching anonymous tips about where to dig for more dirt on Professor Hargrove. With each sent email, a sense of purpose rebuilds within me, piece by piece. Days blend into weeks. The media catches wind of the scandal, and headlines scream of corruption and moral decay in higher education. Ellie's name is dragged through the mud, her academic career hanging by a thread. One evening, as I scroll through the onslaught of news articles, an unknown number calls me. I answer, and a man's voice, rough and angry, hisses through. You've ruined everything. It's Hargrove, barely containing his rage. I'll make sure you pay for this, Dawson. His threats hang in the air, but I'm unyielding. You did this to yourself, I shoot back. And I'm not done yet. The call ends with a click, and silence envelopes me once more. I'm far from done. The wheels of retribution are only just beginning to turn, and I will stop at nothing to see this through. As the night deepens, I realize that this isn't just about revenge anymore, it's about justice. And I am its unrelenting harbinger. The confrontation with Hargrove leaves a bitter aftertaste, yet it fuels my resolve. Each morning, as the city awakens with the hustle of oblivious lives, I sharpen my strategy, transforming from a betrayed husband into a vigilant crusader against corruption. The story of Eileen Hargrove has become a wildfire, and I'm determined to ensure it burns every deceitful shadow in its path. My next move is to contact more whistleblowers through online forums and anonymous emails. I craft each message meticulously, appealing to their sense of justice. The responses trickle in, slow and cautious, but each is a strand in the web I am weaving. One afternoon, as I pore over the latest batch of leads, my phone buzzes with an unknown number. I answer, my voice edged with wary determination. Is this Mark Dawson? The voice is hesitant, a quiver of nervous energy betraying the caller's attempt at calm. Yes, who's asking? I read about what you did, exposing that professor. I have information. About another professor, in the same department. I think it's happening again. The information is a spark in dry grass. I arrange to meet the caller, a junior faculty member named Claire, at a quiet cafe downtown. She's jittery when she arrives, glancing around before sliding into the booth opposite me. They're covering it up, just like they tried with Hargrove, she whispers, her eyes wide with fear and indignation. As she details her accusations, my mind races, piecing together the scale of the rot within the university. This isn't just about a single unethical professor, it's a systemic decay, festering in the shadows. We need solid evidence, I say, my voice firm. Can you get access to documents, emails? Claire nods, her determination firming. I can try. There are others who want to help, too. They're just scared. Let's bring them together. If we stand united, they can't ignore us, I suggest, a plan rapidly forming. Over the next few days, Claire and I work to assemble a coalition of insiders. We meet in secret, sharing information and strategizing. Each meeting feels like a small revolution, our collective courage building like a storm. Meanwhile, the backlash is swift and severe. Anonymous threats land in my inbox, dark cars linger on my street at night, and shadows flit at the edge of my vision during my daily routines. But fear, instead of deterring me, sharpens my focus. I install security cameras, document every threat, and meet aggression with calculated defiance. Then, a breakthrough, Claire manages to secure damning email exchanges between several faculty members, discussing grades for favors with chilling nonchalance. The evidence is explosive, the implications far-reaching. We decide it's time to go public. I contact a trusted journalist, Laura, who had covered Ellie's story with a sharp eye for truth. I lay out the new evidence before her, and she grasps the magnitude immediately. This could change everything, Laura says, her voice low, charged with the weight of the story. We'll need to be thorough, bulletproof. We are, I assure her, handing over the documents. It's time these shadows saw the light. Lara's article hits like a hammer. The morning it's published, the city wakes to headlines screaming of a university scandal that reaches deeper than anyone imagined. Calls for investigations echo across social media, the public outcry impossible to ignore. In the eye of this storm, I sit in my living room, the early light casting long shadows across the floor. The battle is far from over, but as I watch the city stir, a grim satisfaction settles within me. Ellie's betrayal had ignited this path, but now, it's about so much more. Justice, once a distant dream, now pulses through the city's veins, fueled by every whispered secret and exposed lie. And as the day unfolds, I know that whatever comes next, I am ready to face it, steadfast and unyielding. The city, once a backdrop to a simple life, now mirrors a battlefield where every shadow holds a story of betrayal and each light a chance for redemption. The revelations have sent shockwaves through the university, toppling careers and igniting a fury for justice. I have become something of a figurehead, a symbol of retribution, but the personal cost is immeasurable, my heart a fortress built from the stones of betrayal. As the investigations deepen, more accomplices crawl from the woodwork, their faces masks of feigned innocence. But one name that repeatedly surfaces sends a cold shudder through me, Ellie. Her involvement, deeper than previously known, ties her not just to Hargrove but to a network of deceit affecting hundreds of students over years. The final piece clicks when an anonymous tip leads me to a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Armed with my camera and a fierce resolve, I push through the rusted door, the interior dimly lit by flickering fluorescent lights. There, amidst stacks of documents and whispered conversations, I spot Ellie. She's not the flustered student I knew, she's confident, commanding, her voice cold as she coordinates the sale of leaked exam papers. Ellie! I call out, stepping into the open. She turns, her expression shifting from shock to defiance. Mark? What are you doing here? I could ask you the same, I reply, my voice steady, camera recording. Selling exam answers now? Is this what you've become? It's not like that, Mark. It's never been like that. You don't understand the pressures here, she tries to explain, her voice a blend of desperation and anger. Save it, Ellie. I've heard enough of your excuses, I cut her off. I continue filming, moving closer. You've built a career on lies and manipulation. how many lives have you ruined? As she falters, I turn to the small crowd gathered, pointing the camera at their guilty faces. You're all part of this. And everyone is going to know. The video goes viral within hours. The fallout is catastrophic for Ellie and her associates. Disgraced, abandoned by her peers, she becomes a pariah in the academic community. The university is forced to clean house, instituting new checks and balances to prevent a recurrence. But the story doesn't end there. A week later, as the dust begins to settle, a package arrives at my door. Inside, there's a thick envelope filled with documents and a simple, unsigned note, for your eyes only. The documents reveal a hidden account, funds siphoned off from the sale of exam papers. And there, among the transactions, is a familiar name, my own. Ellie had set up the account in my name, a final act of vengeance from the woman I once loved. Betrayed once more, I'm propelled into a new fight, this time to clear my name. With each step, I'm drawn deeper into a web of legal battles and public scrutiny. Months pass. The struggle consumes everything, my days spent in courts and nights haunted by betrayal. Ellie, ever the specter in my life, remains just out of reach, her fate a parallel descent into chaos. In the final courtroom showdown, the evidence I've gathered is overwhelming. Ellie's last gamble fails, and she's sentenced to a lengthy term, her crimes laid bare for the world to see. As she's led away, our eyes meet, one last connection fraught with the agony of betrayal. There's no love left, only the raw, unending pain of deceit. I never wanted it to end this way, she murmurs. Neither did I reply, the words heavy on my tongue. Leaving the courthouse, I feel no triumph, only a weary relief. The city stretches out before me, its lights dim under the setting sun. I've won, but the victory is hollow. The cost of justice has been high, and the path to reclaiming my life stretches long and uncertain ahead. Ellie and I, once bound by love, are now forever parted by the chasms of betrayal and revenge. Our story, a cautionary tale of ambition and deceit, whispers through the city streets, a reminder of the price of trust broken and the relentless pursuit of retribution.